is Lisa, and this is The Search. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back, and I appreciate all the support that you have done to help us grow the community. Thank you so much. If you are new here, thank you, and I hope that you appreciate this episode and decide that you would like to join us every Thursday night at 8 p.m. By doing that, you can hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss anything. We are a newer channel trying to grow, trying to find justice for people, so everything is appreciated. Tonight is going to be a different story that I've ever done. It actually is going to be about two different people and something that is a common bond in their missing cases. So, for anybody that is new here and not familiar, I do focus only on unsolved cases involving missing, murder, and trafficking. Mostly ones that don't have a lot of media coverage so that we can get their story out. Oddly enough, this case does take a turn and links into a current high profile case going on. So let's get into it. I'm going to start with the first one and we will go from there. It is going to be a twist. Aaliyah Bell, who vanished in Rock Hill. She vanished on November 25th, 2014. At the time, she was 18 years old. She was born January 30th, 1996. The authorities say the 18-year-old was on her way back to her grandmother's house, walking on a path she took many times before, but she never made it home. And that was 2 nights before Thanksgiving. When she didn't show up to the gathering with her family on the holidays, those who also knew her knew something was wrong and right away reported it to the police. Before I go further, I want to talk a little bit about Aaliyah. I did all my information is in the public, so you are able to do your own research and, of course, always form your own opinion. But I was able to hear some information from her lovely family who has been searching for her for so long. Apparently, she was over at her uncle's house and he was letting her know, like, this is what we're going to be eating. And according to them, she was a foodie person. She loved to eat. She did. She loved to eat. She liked trying new things, doing new things. She was a free-hearted, positive person, they said. A little loud, so you definitely knew that she was in the room, which is good. Showed that she was probably a little more confident than some of us. She just really was upbeat and, wanted to uplift others. They also said that she loved kids. If you were around and you had your children, even if she was in the middle of eating her food, like they literally said, hey, she might be eating, but she's going to be playing with your kids too. I thought that everything that I heard about her really touched my heart. What went wrong? Around 9:30 p.m., she left her uncle's house and she was actually going back home, going to her godmother's house. Now, she left out on Chestnut Street and was headed back to South Confederate Street. It's really like within just a couple blocks. She had done this time after time. They automatically reported this when she did not show up on Thanksgiving and she was not there to eat. They knew something was not right and it was reported, okay, right away. When they got out, the detectives got out looking around, talking to neighbors. Neighbors were very much involved in looking for her. Remember, she is 18, but still they knew something was wrong, that she did not show up. So they very much were all in. One neighbor, I believe, did say that around the time that she was due to be walking, that she did hear some like loud yelling noises, like a scream yell, and seen a black vehicle leaving right around the same time. Now, I wanted to say that because later in the video, I am going to let you know why that information is so important. Through the years of them investigating and not being able to find anything, information came in on Aaliyah that there was possible sightings of her up in Charlotte, possibly Fayetteville, North Carolina, that there was sex trafficking involved, that possibly she was at these hotels. Now, I will tell you that the girls that were found there were not Aaliyah. So, as of today, Aaliyah has never been found. But her story does not end here. I will tell you that for a while her case did get cold. But as I go into the next story, we will come back to Aaliyah. So remember, this was 2014 for Aaliyah, okay? So let's get into the next story and then we will dive back into this. The next story covers Julia Ann Bean, all right, who lives in Sumter, South Carolina. So our first victim is RockHill. Our next victim is Sumter, South Carolina. I want to say there's about, I would say about 120-ish miles, hour and a half at least between the two. Okay? But let's keep going. Let's talk a little bit about Julie. Julie Bean, again, like I said, is from Sumter, South Carolina. And she, I will say, had a little rockier of a background. Julie Ann Bean. She actually had a nickname of Bob. Okay? I'm not quite sure how she got the nickname Bob, but out of that, but anyway, Julie was, of course, another beautiful woman like Aaliyah, but she was a little bit older than Aaliyah. She was 36 years old at the time. She was born May 2nd, 1981, and she was a mother of three. Now, I will tell you, according to family and friends, Julie was struggling with drug addiction. And at the time of the incident and disappearance, her daughter recalled being around, there was different men coming and going. They were giving her money. She was more likely escorting. I will just tell you that Julie was definitely having a dealing with addiction. People said that she had such a sweet soul, a mother of three, but she had mental health illnesses. Unfortunately, it did lead her into drugs, and it did lead her into doing some sex work for the drugs. We don't know exactly how much, the extent of it. There was actually on one or more occasion where there was different lines or places you could call in Sumter, like Sumter Girls for Call, things like that we know were available. We are not sure if Julie was a part of that, but even the children knew that she was involved in stuff like this. Even though she was 36, so her kids, were older. And in fact, she had one, Cameron, that was getting ready to graduate. Now, I will tell you that her and Cameron did have kind of an off and on relationship. But when Cameron was graduating high school, Julie was like, I am not going to miss this. I am not going to. So that day before graduation, this is on May 31st, 2017, they decide they're going to go get manicures. They're going to go to the nail salon and get pretty. And that was something that they were going to share together. Like I said, things had been rocky. And the daughter, I know, was happy to have her do that. So, anyway, the daughter gets there first. And the mom pulls up. And she is in a black Chevy Avalanche. and she's got a man with her. Like I said, she was known to have different men in her life that gave her money. So this was just one of those things the kids were used to, like another man bringing her up, got her rides. Cameron actually talked to this man. And like I said, he had a black avalanche. He looked like he had a little bit of money. Well, he expressed he did. Knowing that her mom was with him, Cameron decided to give the mother 2 tickets to the graduation so that she could bring him. I thought, okay, Cameron's really trying, whatever it can take to get mama there. And I've seen situations kind of like this in my life. And, kids are so forgiving no matter what. And they just, even if you do have issues and you're a drug addict, your kids want you to still be there no matter what. So anyway, the guy tells her, listen, I've got a boat. I've got a place that you guys can come and have a party on for your graduation. He really sells in that basically he's got some money. He's got, property and things like that. Cameron's just like, okay, she's seen this before, the men in and out. Like, well, I just want to chill with my mom, all right? Unfortunately, that would be the last time that she would actually see her mom. After that, her mom did not come to graduation. When she didn't show up for graduation, this was kind of like, okay, mom. Basically, mom's pulled a stunt, and this, like I said, she was in and out. There would be months that would go by where people didn't make connections with her and talk with her. So unfortunately, this was kind of her norm. This was June. It would be November 18th, 2017, before her family would actually file a missing report with the Sumter Police Department. Bean actually left behind her wallet, cell phone, and her keys at home. She had $5,000 in the bank and as well as cash in her purse. She also left some drugs on the table. Now, she has a wonderful friend that has spoke so much for her and reaching out and is doing everything to help keep this case alive. She's willing to do anything to find Julie. If she is alive, to bring her home, she will take care of her. She has even stated in interviews, just come home. And her name is Heidi Colas. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Colas. And she knew, she said she would not have left her drugs there. She would not have left, she didn't have it like that, to just leave up and go. She knew something was wrong. This was 2017. The detectives, they looked into it. Sumter Police, they did. They took the report. They listened. They looked into a few leads. But unfortunately, I'm not saying that this is how they looked at it, but a lot of times, especially if they're older and not children, if they hear that they were drugs, they were in and out, I don't know, sometimes we just feel like they don't get the same treatment, right? And really, there was not a lot brought up of this case. There was not a lot of leads. Everything kind of went blank. There was nothing used as far as like her social security. There's nothing of her showing anywhere else. No sightings, anything like that. That's kind of where her story ended, on where she was, and everybody just prayed and continued to, if they heard anything, report tips and leads. So all they know is she was last seen with a man who claimed to have a little bit of money, a lake and property and a yacht, and that was the last she was seen with. Sure is funny, and not in a ha-ha, that high profile cases, if somehow they reach or find any connections things will get brought up, you know, which is a good thing. It is a good thing. But you sometimes just get that feeling of, now you're bringing it back up. We needed you to consistently look and keep looking. We'll take, I guess, what we can get, and maybe this is the break we needed. Now, let's move forward, and we're going to discuss what Aaliyah and also Julie have in common. They both live in South Carolina, one in RockHill and one in Sumter. They both went missing, one 2014, Julie 2017. Also, there was reports of, well, Julie, of course, they say, was already in prostitution kind of work because she was involved in drugs. And then also with Aaliyah, there was sightings possibly that she could have been involved in some type of trafficking. Another funny lead is that there is a same type of vehicle that was involved, which is a black like SUV. Now Cam, the daughter of Julie, actually said it was a black Avalanche. So she knew exactly what it was. The neighbor for Aaliyah just knew it was like an SUV around the time she heard yelling, but very similar. So now I'm going to get into why these two cases are possibly now being looked at and maybe connected somehow with the same person of interest. While I was looking at Aaliyah's case, I actually had looked at Julia's prior a while back and remembered hearing the connection to who I'm about to speak on. When I started reading Aaliyah's, it triggered me. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I looked around. I personally have not seen anybody do these two girls together. So, but if there is, I would love for you to leave a comment below, and I would love to hear what they feel or, allegedly know of what's going on. But I'm going to tell you what I know. Right now, there is a high profile case going on in the Gilgo Beach Murders. And this serial killer, which would be known by the name of Rex Heuermann. Okay, that is going on right now, and I'm not going to dive real deep into his case. I want to tell you why he has been named in both of these cases. First, let's talk about Aaliyah. Because Aaliyah went missing in 2014 and 18 years old. She lived in RockHill. Now, remember the neighbor that said, she's seen the black, SUV and heard a holler, but she did not see anybody be abducted. And anyway, while they're looking into Rex Heuermann, in July of 2023, a man by the name of Rex Heuermann was arrested and charged allegedly for being responsible and in a suspect for the Gilgo Beach murders. While looking into the cases that were going on up in the Long Island murders, 9 women and 1 man, they know that he actually also has property down in South Carolina. Along with the property, he also has a brother that lives down here in Chester, South Carolina, which is right within 100 miles vicinity, 20 miles, I believe, from RockHill. On top of that, Rex actually owns some property. The property that he owns is only 20 miles from where Aaliyah lived. They removed a vehicle off the property that was a black SUV. Now, I'm not going to dive, like I said, into too much of Rex. He has a lot of different things going on, but what I will tell you as one of his things that they noticed that he had in common was sex workers. There has been information where he, on his burner phones and things that they were able to get into, things that he had searched, and I will tell you, he searched a lot of different, I will say, body types, looks, fetishes, and Aaliyah did fit one, which one was a thin African American girl. Also, when we talk about Julie, you'll see that the connection with the blonde hair and that look. Both girls actually fit some of the things that he used to look up. But that's not all. The thing is that Rex was then put on television when he was arrested in 2023. Well, guess who seen him? Cam, Julie Bean's daughter. And when she seen her, she said herself that it freaked her out. She right away, she called Heidi and she was like, that guy that they're talking about up north that possibly could be responsible, for those women, that's who he was. That is the man that brought my mom to the nail salon. She was 100% sure. Now, Heidi has done interviews with big news stations, and I mean 100% stands that is who Cameron seen was Rex, okay? She, before ever knowing anything about this case, she is the one that said that was the last time she'd seen this person was in a black avalanche. Now, when they were on the properties of his brother, they did remove a vehicle off the property, a black SUV off the property. And I want to stress to you, Bean's daughter told the police also, not just calling the friend. She said, I recognize Rex as the man in that dark truck who was last with my mama, but that he introduced himself under another name. Rex is the main suspect again in the Gilgo murders, but authorities have been unable to prove connection with Julie Bean's disappearance. Foul play, of course, is suspected in Julie's Bean's disappearance. The circumstances of Julie's disappearance still remains unclear, and her case is currently classified as still missing. Now, what I will say is, and I want to tell you before I go further, Julie does stand at 5'6". She weighs 110 to 120 pounds. She does have a tattoo of a tribal design on her lower back. It says Scott on her left hip and on an 8 small paw print on her right hip. I'm going to list the information. If you have anything regarding with Julie, to please contact the Sumter County Sheriff's Department. That will help so much, and I will definitely put that in my description below. I want to kind of recap a little bit about this. So, basically, we had Aaliyah go missing in 2014, taking the same walk she does every time in a nice area where she lived, going from Chestnut to Southern Confederate Street, okay, over there to her godmother's house. All right. Now, and in between that walk at 9:30 is when she goes missing. The neighbors did not see anything other than the black vehicle, and then that time they did hear a yelling and a scream. Mind you, also at that time, Rex brother, and Rex was known to be down there, also was only living 20 minutes away, owned property, and there was a SUV, black SUV, pulled off that property during investigation. See, because remember, this all came out when they made the arrest of Rex on July 23rd up in New York and Long Island. And that what triggered, remember, is when Cam seen the picture and was like, oh, But also, the fact when it came out, the people that remembered that there was a black vehicle in Aaliyah's neighborhood at the time that this happened, when they found out that he had property within miles of the disappearance. Okay, the fact that there were, people involved in the sex industry that mistakenly seen her. We're not sure how many, could he have picked up other girls. These are just allegedly opinions that I'm saying. This is not any factual. What I'm saying is possibly, was there maybe somebody that he already had picked up, maybe got away, you don't know, maybe they thought they recognized her, maybe somebody seen her somewhere, maybe he had traveled in those areas up in Charlotte. See, all these areas, and you will see on the map, are all in like one straight line, basically, all surrounded of each other. You're talking Chester, RockHill, Sumter, going up a little further into Charlotte, North Carolina. These are all just 100 miles of each other. To sum this up, due to that, the detectives have now re-evaluating now both cases, and they are looking into what connections can they find Rex being down there. And with Julie, I feel that there is got to be someone else that has seen Julie with this man. She had no intentions on leaving her house, so something went wrong with that. I want to also mention that at the time of me filming this, Rex has now been charged with Megan Waterman, Amber Costello, Melissa Bartholomew, and now there is another charge of Maureen Brainerd Barnes. I don't know all the info on that, so I just want to say, for the respect out of them, and one person I want to mention, Shannon Gilbert and her mother Mary. Mary pushed. Shannon was one of the first that really got some media attention, and Mary would not stop till she got all the attention to push on, which actually led back to them starting to find the bodies, which led, like I said, to finding up to 9 females and 1 male. With that, got his name on television, got Cameron, the daughter, that recognized it, people that connected a black SUV around the time that Aaliyah went missing, and then to know that his brother lived within 20 miles of RockHill. So that's the connection there, very close to where Leah went missing. And then there was also said that there was, right down the street, bad areas for sex working, gangs, things like that. So Aaliyah lived in a good, area, but literally blocks over was bad. So if for some reason, allegedly, if Rex was looking for something, and like I said, there was activity being done, he simply just could have been driving through, had somebody. We don't know. I am just allegedly thinking what possibly could have happened. But definitely, Cameron is an eyewitness to seeing him, if for sure that was Rex, and it really sounds like it was. Nothing yet has been tied to it. He has not been charged with anything down here. But what it has done is get these cases back out in front of people. And when I seen this, I've never done two cases at one and connected to a high profile. So I hope that it was very understanding that we have Aaliyah and RockHill. We have Julie and Sumter. Julie is seen with him. Aaliyah is only 20 minutes from his brothers, and the SUV is seen leaving, being pulled off the property. Also, Rex owns property on Rippling Brook Drive. So he's got on, that's the outskirts of Chester. So he's definitely been around in these areas, folks. We're not going to give up. We're going to get this out there and continue it. As far as Aaliyah, we are also glad that we've got people back in her case and going to start tracking. They're looking now into Rex where he had properties elsewhere out in Vegas. So there's a lot of stuff that still needs to happen. But in the meantime, these girls, these ladies are what is the focus of this story. Because until they are found, justice is not served. So remember, the concentration is on Aaliyah Bell and Julie Bean. Okay? That is what we are concentrating on. When I end my episodes, I always try to do it and uplift and let the families know if they're watching that we are praying for justice. And I do a ribbon for the victim. And the ribbon represents a prayer for justice. To place all the information in the description of exactly where you can call for any tips. I know this case took a little wonky turn here and there, but if by any chance the horrific things that happened up in Long Island in Gilgo Beach brings justice to also these two beautiful young ladies down in South Carolina, I ask you if you know anything, no tip is too little. It will be looked at. Please call. You can't remain anonymous. I am a native Carolinian. I am familiar with all these areas. And they were safe, guys. So be careful, be kind, and keep your eyes open. And I will see you on the next search.